Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats. Hey friends, the next time you need to order supplies for your professional balloon business, head over to Havin A Party Wholesale. They carry all of the brands that we love and need to run our profitable balloon businesses, and they are family owned and operated, and they know the business inside and out. They've even offered listeners of the podcast a 5% off coupon code when you use the code BRIGHT at checkout. So next time you need to order, head over to havinaparty.com. Hello and welcome to this episode. Today is an interview with my friend Travis Green, who is the owner of Squeek Balloon and Decor, and he is sharing tips about networking. This is one of those areas where I just do not do it well. I go to a networking event and I just freeze. I just don't know what to say. I don't know how to break the ice. I don't know what the point is. I don't know what my goal is. I just get a little uncomfortable. So Travis is sharing some really great tips that make networking less frightening and really easy. So for sure, a lot of great takeaways from this episode. So we are going to take a quick break to hear from a sponsor and then get right into it. Thank you so much for coming on this episode, Travis, and for sharing all of these helpful tips with us.
Hi, this is Jeff from Balloon Suite by Asset Lab. We help balloon decor businesses bring in more sales and leads with a high-tech toolkit that includes your website, your domain, your advertising, your search engine optimization. Our plans start at $50 a month, and we'll even buy out your Wix or Squarespace or GoDaddy subscription to help you get onto a platform that's made for and optimized for your business in balloon decor. Check us out at balloonsuite.com.
All right, welcome to this episode, Travis. It's really nice to connect about networking. I'm so excited because this is one of those areas that I am not great at. And I think a lot of people have a lot of fear surrounding networking. So I'm excited to jump in. But before we do, why don't you give us an introduction about you and your business?
I'm Travis Green. I live in Ankeny, Iowa, or Des Moines, Iowa. Just depends on where you want to call it. I started my business, Squeek Balloon and Decor. We do all the balloon decor. So we're getting into the marquees. We also started a flower shop, or we own a flower shop, and that plays well with my business. So my wife runs that.
Yeah, is your wife primarily the florist?
My wife, that's her passion. She wanted a creative outlet like I had with balloons. And so we bought the flower shop, and so she takes care of the flowers, I take care of the balloons, and then we collaborate between those two.
What's the scale? Like, is it just you two?
In the balloon side, it's just me for now. I've got people that I utilize when I need them.
Mm-hmm.
On the flower shop side, we have probably like 5 or 6 gals that work for us.
Oh, wow. Okay. So did you inherit them when you purchased that business?
We inherited a few, and we've hired a few new ones that are great. And the old owner that we bought it off of, she stayed on and works 2 days a week with my wife just to stay busy and kind of mentor my wife through the business.
Yeah, that's great.
The flower shop's one of 3 businesses in Ankeny that's the longest running businesses in Ankeny. So it's been like 50. It's a 53-year-old shop. So
wow. So is it? I think you just answered that, but it's like brick and mortar, right? Like there is a physical location, obviously.
Yep. We've got a building it's called Uptown Ankeny. It's a little district kind of an
Cool.
older neighborhood with a bunch of little shops around there and boutiques. And so, yeah,
And is that where you run your balloons from also?
that was the initial thought. But then once we started, when we got in there, I did a few jobs from there, and balloons and flowers and dirt and just leaves, they don't go together because
Interesting.
they static cling. All the balloons get dirty, and it just didn't work.
Okay.
So I just set up a studio in my basement. Just got all that organized, and it's going well.
So you are home based. So how long, remind me, when did you then start your balloon business? What's our timeline here?
So in 2021, we started in March of 2021 on accident, and kind of like everybody, just doing balloons for my daughter. Well, I was making balloon animals for my daughter at a birthday party one time, and I can't do anything that's just like the balloon dog. So like I started looking on YouTube for like how to make cool like balloon animals.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got really intricate with them. And then we did a birthday party with like a garland. And after that, I just kind of left it. And then a friend of mine reached out and was like, I want one of those. So then I was like, I'll do one for you, but I am not going to charge it. And she's like, I'll give you some, I want to pay you. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, what? It was like, what? It was like a couple bucks probably, but, and so that's how it started. And then I had an Instagram, I just started an Instagram page, and then to curate my photos, basically, not ever even thinking it was going to be a business.
Hmm.
And then, it just took off.
So
and I didn't,
when in your head did it shift? When did it become a business?
oh, probably. So we started in March of that year, and then people started reaching out about graduations.
Okay.
And so I started doing graduations, and then I ran everything through Venmo, and I just had this Venmo account that had a couple $1,000s in it, and I'm like, well, this is great. And then I didn't know what do I need to pay tax on this or not? And so then we set up an LLC. Like, we talked to somebody, they're like, you should set up an LLC. We set up an LLC, and then we started doing it above the board and good. And so that's,
Yeah.
a couple months into it, and then it just kind of took off even more, where I'm getting, now I'm getting the corporate clients and such that we're doing bigger jobs, multi-$1,000 jobs. So
That's great. Well, and
it's a wild ride.
No, I like the way you do it too, because I feel like I am not an overthinker, but I know that there are a lot of people who have been like taking classes and doing balloons for like 2 years, but they're afraid to like take money because they're not a real business yet. And like, I always feel like just do it and figure it all out later. Like, start selling balloons and then figure out where the money's supposed to be going, and then figure out how you're going to pay taxes, and then become an LLC. And then one day someone asks if you have insurance and you're like, holy cow, I need insurance. I'm going to go get that. Like, I think if you're waiting to get all of your ducks in a row before you even start your business, you might find out like, yeah, you're never going to start. Or like, what if you don't actually like this and you've spent 3 years building a business with no customers and no sales, to then find out that it's not really something you want to do. So I always just tell people to just jump in and figure it out as you go.
And that's what tax people are for. Like, I just basically ran, I never did anything with books. Like, I didn't have QuickBooks, nothing.
Right.
And at the end of the year, we had a tax gal, and we went to her, and I'm like, this is a mess. And she's like, we got it. Like,
yeah, right.
We just went through and list by list of stuff, and we get, it all worked out. It all worked.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, let's shift to what we are actually here to talk about, which is, I'm assuming, how you started getting some of these corporate clients and this idea of networking. I feel like that's one of those things that people throw out there that it's very vague. Like, what is networking? What am I supposed to be doing? What does that look like? Tell us about networking. What has been working for you? Where do we start?
Well, so what's before I got into the balloon business, I would have never networked with people. Like I hate selling. I hate telling people prices. It really bugs it. I don't know. I feel self-conscious.
Yeah.
Like like usually like when I'm in front of somebody and they ask a price, it still to this day kind of bugs me. I like just sending quotes out
I
and
I agree. And I feel like that's kind of almost, it feels tacky to me. Like when you're at a party and someone who's a
mhm.
guest is like, how much did that cost? And I'm like, well, I don't know that the person who paid for this really wants me telling you. Like, it is really hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I usually give them a range because it's not just what it is, it's where it is,
Yeah,
when it is,
totally.
all those other factors that oh, so if you tell them $100 or whatever and they have all these other factors and it's 50 miles away, that's not going to be $100 anymore.
Right.
Um but yeah, like so before I started the business, that was my mentality with just talking to people. And then once I once we really got the flower shop is when I got really hardcore into like the networking because that's when we joined the chamber and the yeah, so your local chamber, ours is Ankeny Chamber of Commerce, and we joined that, and then they have a bunch of like events throughout the month, like lattes and leads, they call it.
Oh,
They
cool.
meet they meet at they meet at businesses throughout the community. So like sometimes we've met at the art center, we've met at a little coffee shop across the road, just different little businesses, a bank, and they have coffee and donuts probably, and then just a bunch of people come and you just basically eat coffee and donuts and stand there. And if you want to talk to people, you can. If you don't, then you just get free coffee and leave. But
Yeah.
that's not why you're there. You're there to connect with people. So um like now when I look at people, I don't look at them as like a sale. I just look at them as like not how I can use them, but just how like how can I help them while helping me?
Yeah.
Like that's the biggest part of networking too is promoting other businesses. So you want to meet those people. You want to meet the girl that does wedding hair and such because she knows people that need balloons and such. So it's not making the sale to her, it's making the sale to her clients
Mm,
or people she knows.
interesting. Yeah. That's a really good point. You're not always trying to sell to the business, you're trying to sell to the business's other clients.
Yeah, or you're not trying like whoever you meet, you're not might not necessarily need balloons at all, but
Right.
they might know somebody that does, or eventually they might.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Totally. I used to have a hard time too, feeling like, I don't know, networking was all just like a bunch of opportunists like looking to use each other. But I think some of that is almost imposter syndrome when it comes to your own business. It's like, do you feel like you're taking advantage of people who buy balloons from you? Because I don't. Like, I feel like I'm serving them and they're asking for something that I know how to do. So I think networking is just aligning yourself with those
Mhm.
people, with as many people as you possibly can. And
Yeah.
it never hurts to have those small business connections.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about our business too is like we make cool stuff,
Right.
and so we're like normally like the fun people of the groups. We're not the business, or we're not
The banker.
the
Yeah,
banker that's suit and tie. Like I'm the way I am, and I shorts, flip-flops, and a t-shirt to these events, and
totally.
that's how I am. And I even tell people like this is why I run my own business, because I can do this.
Yeah,
I can.
absolutely.
And that's I get being professional, and so I am like I still act professional, but it's like just in a artist type of way.
No, I totally agree. I feel like that's always been me because my first career was an art teacher and like people just expect you to be kind of kooky. So you just kind of get away with more.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
So you mentioned your Chamber of Commerce. What
Yep.
are the other networking groups that you're in? And if you don't mind, what are the financial obligations for those? Because a lot of times they cost something. So I think a lot of us kind of weigh the is it worth it? Like, will I get my money out of this? So
Yeah.
my Chamber of Commerce, I think, is like $300 a year, which is pretty low. I
Yep.
would imagine that like a New York City Chamber of Commerce is thousands. But how much is your chamber? And then what other groups are you in?
So I think our chamber is in between 3 and 400.
Okay.
I'm not for sure on the exact number, but I know it's in between. And the way we have our LLC set up is we run Squeek Balloon and Decor, and we run Carmen's Flowers Uptown under one LLC. So it's like a
Oh, so you
umbrella.
get two businesses for one?
So basically we get two business for one
Nice.
and so that works out. And then so there's another group I'm in, and this is like I think they call it like BNI. I'm not for sure what that
Yeah,
stands
yeah.
for, but it's not BNI. It's started by a local guy in our community, and it's called PAR. We meet at a golf course um every other Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. We eat breakfast, we network for about 15 minutes before we start, and then there's a presenter every week, like, or every other week. So whether it's one of the guys in the group or they bring in a speaker, and it can be anybody. Like last week we met at Chick-fil-A, and the owner of that Chick-fil-A location told his story of how he started that, and his how he runs his business so well.
Cool.
We've met at a bunch of different places, and the cool thing about that group is it's only you can only be there can only be one of you in that group. Like, so there's only going to be one balloon person, which is there's probably not going to be more balloon people trying to get in, but
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
One florist, so I kind of run both of those. And then there's only one financial advisor, one lawyer, one, but they're all different types of guys that are in um decision making roles within their businesses. Either they're the owner or they're in higher up roles that they can um so you're talking to when you're at that event, you're talking to a lot of people that know a lot of people that can
Yeah.
help you.
What was the application process to get in with a group like that?
So that one is a local guy at a car dealership. He actually reached out to me, and his wife was one of my friends from a long time ago, and so that's how I know him. And he reached out. He's like, I'm in this group. Told me kind of just what I said. We meet every other Wednesday, blah blah blah. And so I went. He just invited me to one, and I went, and I'm like, yeah, I want to be a part of that, because these are good people.
Yeah.
Aligning yourself with other people that are within business is really good, because they might not ever buy balloons off you, but they can point you in. This is my bookkeeper. This is who I use for this. This is who I use for that.
Right. Actual like professional resources that you might need. So less of making a sale and more of finding good people to help you. Yeah, that's a great point.
And just like being around those type of people, it just motivates you to keep looking forward.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Did that one cost anything?
So that one's 500 a year,
Okay.
which is already paid for itself.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I like to keep track of that too. Like, oh, that one job paid for my year.
So that's already paid for it twice. Like, one guy, not for balloons. No one's bought balloons off me yet, but two people have bought flowers off of us. So like last week I got an email from one of the guys. He's like, my wife's gonna reach out to you for graduation flowers, and so I just forwarded her email to my wife, and they struck up a deal.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
it didn't it benefited my family by going to the flower shop, but not specific balloons.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And something that occurred to me, I've heard this before, but like you just said, this is a local person who started this. Someone could
Yep.
be listening and you could start your own. Like you could start a networking group for party industry specialists and it could be your own group. Like I could start that in my town and get together with one florist, one DJ, one,
Mm-hmm.
caterer, like basically form almost like I mean, it's a network, but almost like an alliance. Like, hey, we're
Yeah,
all going to recommend each other. So you could start your own version of this.
exactly. And it's just a great opportunity to get to, just it gets me out of the house in the morning early. I can, go eat breakfast, just hang out with good people, and if nothing else, that's worth it to me, is just being a part of something.
Totally. A social network. Like now that I've left my
Yeah.
full-time job, I just have my husband to talk to about balloons and he doesn't care. And so I actually just joined a networking group for female small business owners in my town because it is really unique and sometimes lonely. Like when you don't go to an office and have coworkers, sometimes it is hard to find people that understand the stress or understand the issues or it's nice to have people to vent to about like taxes being so expensive. Like things that 9 to 5 employees just don't really get.
Hmm.
So I do think it is nice to have a network of support as well.
Yeah, and like just like I said, they can help you out with that. They've been in the business. There's guys in this group that I'm in that have been in the business for 40 years. So
Yeah.
they've seen a lot more than I have.
Yeah, absolutely. Any others?
So I want to talk about like the chamber ambassador. Like that is a cool thing.
Yeah, tell us about that because I don't think mine has that.
I'm just getting into this role. It's basically they have ambassadors, which when you go to the lattes and leads, they're the people that are there to like welcome you and just, but they're normal. They're business owners too. They're just normal people. It's
Sure.
not like they're standing at the door. It's just they're there to break the ice. They'll talk to you. And then at ribbon cuttings, they try to get like, at least 10 ambassadors to go to these ribbon cuttings and such. So
Sure.
that's a good avenue for me, is because I know about all the ribbon cuttings before it's even an event.
Yeah. I have not tapped into ribbon cuttings and I know that it's a missed opportunity. I need to do
Mm-hmm.
that. Just show up with balloons. Seems appropriate.
Yeah. So yeah, you can just show up with balloons, or like if I know about them, I can reach out to them prior to them planning their event and be like, I can jazz up your event with some
Yeah.
balloons type
Yeah.
thing. And the good thing about being an ambassador is when you're at lattes and leads, you meet the people so they know you. It's not like you're cold calling them at that point. So like, oh, I met you at lattes and leads last week.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard you're having a ribbon cutting. We could make balloons for you.
Yeah, that's
So
interesting. I also think like having some sort of title or official responsibility, even if it's volunteer, for me, I feel like would give me confidence. Otherwise, sometimes I walk into these events and I'm like, what am I supposed to even be doing? Like, I don't even know
mhm.
anyone. This is so awkward. But if someone slaps a badge on me and says, like, you're an ambassador, all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, like, I'm supposed to be here. Like, I can strike up a conversation because I
Yep,
have this false confidence that I'm
you're
something
trusted.
special. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I mean. So like being a part of that, like in that role, it's nice because you break that cold call ice. You're not you're not
Yeah.
you're not cold calling anybody at that point. You're just following up. Hey, I talked to you at the lattes and leads last week, and
Yeah, I love
let's
that. Like
let's get lunch.
I'm supposed to be calling you. Like I'm supposed
Yep.
to be networking with you. I'm not just reaching out for no reason. I think
Yep.
that's great. I need to look into mine and see if they have anything like that. That's really very cool.
And the best thing about like networking too is like usually it's over drinks or lunch, and so that you can't go wrong there.
And it's all
So
a write-off.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. If you talk
Ah, neat.
business, it's a write off.
That is cool. And then I know you mentioned before we started recording, uh, some other professional networks, like for balloon people. You want to chat about
Yep.
those?
Yeah. So there's a lot of different groups that you can join online. Some are good, some are bad, some are just what they are. Um, one that me and you are in, I know Balloon Boss Mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good resource. It There was a couple weeks ago, it gave me the confidence to do a job that I had no business, well, I thought I had no business doing, but I did it. It
Yeah.
worked out good, and some things went wrong with it. Within 10 minutes I was on the phone, got it all figured out, and it all worked out.
Oh yeah,
But
we had to reschedule our interview because of
yep,
it.
yep, but so yeah, being a part of that, it's an investment, but um
But
you
don't you think the quality of what you get from a paid group is higher than what you get from just a free Facebook group that anyone can join?
1000%,
Yeah.
yeah. Those free Facebooks, you'll post a comment or a question, and you might get a response, or if nothing like what's in Mastermind, you get, this
Well,
is
and
what you need to do.
there's no checks and balances in any of those groups. Like you could get an answer from someone that is completely incorrect. Like there's
Yep.
no and no one's going to be like actually that's not true. Like it I feel like people aren't as what's the word? Like mastermind, if someone gives you bad advice, someone else is going to call them out on it and be like, actually,
Yep.
FYI, that's not, you shouldn't do that. So I like that. I like some of that back and forth, or most of the time,
Mhm.
9 out of 10 times in balloons, there's 50 ways to do it. So you'll get 50 answers and they'll all be right, but you at least then have a resource to get going.
Yeah, that like, so the job I'm talking about, I had to make a 10 by 16-foot flag, which is probably easy to a lot of people, but it wasn't easy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, until I reached out to the group, and probably within a day I had a bunch of different resources. I had a video that somebody made for me that showed exactly how to make this flag, and it ended up being super duper simple, and I was just overthinking it, and it gave me the confidence to make the sale.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm really only kind of active in that group, and then I'm active in um Float, the convention. They have a group that I like to participate in. Again, because I think there's money associated with it. The people who are in that group are attending Float or have attended
Hmm.
Float. And I think people who are willing to invest uh financially or with their
Yeah.
time or whatever, like it's just a more curated group versus some YouTube channel where the video might be 15 years old and you have you just don't know if it's credible. You just don't know.
Yeah.
Or at the very least you waste a lot of time trying to vet the information or find it on your
Hmm.
own. So sometimes what I feel like I'm paying for is speed and accessibility. Like
Yeah.
I know exactly where to go to find the thing that I need. Um, and then the other thing that I do want to say about Mastermind is that a lot of my like what I call my personal network. So I talk to a group of I think it's like 5 girls. Um, we talk every single day and we met through Mastermind, through Summit. So
Hmm.
like it's not all the conversations that are happening in the group, but sometimes it's those conversations that happen when you kind of find your people through those groups, if that makes sense.
Yep. And that's just it. Being invested in any of these groups, when you put in the investment, you're gonna participate a little more, or the other people will participate, and you're getting worth out of it.
Yeah.
And I try to also network with other balloon companies that are in within Iowa.
Hmm.
I still like, I don't make, I'm not like friends with them and all, like, but it is also nice to make friends with those people that can help you out in a pinch, or like one of the gals, she went on maternity leave, so she sent me all of her work when she was on maternity leave,
Oh yeah.
which was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure that like if you ever have to, you'll send her work now.
Yeah, and I have before, like, I can't, like, I we're going on vacation, I can't do it that week, like, I send her that. Or it's also nice to have people around Iowa, like, there's a gal over in Cedar Rapids that I send work all the time to, because I'm not going to drive 40 or 2 hours to do balloons over there. So I can, when people reach out to me, I have a, an avenue for them to go.
Yeah, right. Because that serves your customers better versus than just being like, sorry, I'm booked.
Or just
Bye.
ghosting them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah.
No, I totally agree.
So
Let's take a quick break. And then when we come back, I want to keep talking about how you've actually negotiated some of these groups to get more business. Also, if you've ever failed at making connections. And we will get into some applications of maybe next steps, what people can do and what they should try to aim to do when they join these groups. So hang on one sec and we will be right back. Will I see you at Float 2024? In 2024, Float will celebrate its 10th official convention, so save the dates to join us in the Chicago area for what is sure to be a once-in-a-lifetime celebration. March 10th through the 14th, 2024, with pre-convention activities March 8th and 9th in Lombard, Illinois. And there's so much more to the Floativerse than just a convention every 2 years. Between weekly shows, monthly classes, an annual global art project, and more, Float is more than an event. It's a culture, a community, and a phenomenon. And don't forget, I'm sponsoring one lucky winner to attend Float for free. So make sure you are signed up for the Bright Balloon newsletter using the link in the show notes wherever you are listening for a chance to win. But don't use this as an excuse to delay purchasing your ticket, because even if you win, we will reimburse you. Trust me, you don't want to miss this convention specifically for balloon decorators. All right, welcome back. Let's continue our conversation about networking. I feel like this is a conversation that could just go on and on because there's so many opportunities to network. You have found some groups that really work for you. Once you found your way into the groups, do you have a strategy? Like what do you do once you sign up for these networking groups?
I just look at everybody as, how can I help them? Whether it's, doing balloon decor for them or even just promoting their business. The more you help another business, the better you look, I guess. I don't know if that's right, but like on Instagram, I will post all the businesses in Uptown around our flower shop. I'll do like a spotlight on each business maybe once a day, or throughout the week. One week I'll just say it's like spotlight week, and I'll just spotlight the candy shop across the street, or the butcher shop around the corner type thing. And that just puts, within the community, it just puts a good vibe in their mouth, is like, oh, this guy, he's actually trying to help the community. That's one thing I'm big in, is supporting local.
That's really smart. And I'm glad, real quick, I'm really glad you said Instagram, because I always have this struggle of just like, Instagram will suck the life out of you. I feel like I can be having a perfectly good day, and then I open Instagram and I start scrolling and I'll see something that will just derail me, and a lot of times it's not local. A lot of times it's like, it's something that doesn't even really have any impact on my company. So I think thinking of Instagram as less of a popularity contest or how many likes are you getting, and more of a hyper localized, like, giving people kudos publicly, I think that makes it automatically feel more fun and more life-giving instead of life-sucking. So I really like the way that you're using it.
Definitely been down that rabbit hole too, whereas like, everybody else's stuff looks way better than mine. They've got all the big jobs. Oh, that job, they contacted me and they went with somebody else. So it's just like, you can't do that. You can't look. So I've taken a step back from like a lot of like just looking at other people, and now I use it just to curate my work basically. And the thing I like about Instagram is it connects to Facebook, so I don't have to go into Facebook and load my pictures on there. It just does it automatically. I just think that the interface of Instagram is great.
Yeah, I agree. I have mine set up the same exact way. And more and more I talk to people, and I think people are spending less and less time on social media. They get on there,
Yep.
they post, and they get off. And I think for your mental health, I think that's better.
Yeah. And I think I probably get more work from Facebook, but I just like the interface of Instagram better.
Mm-hmm.
But to go back to like the spotlighting other companies, is it helps to shop local like that. I guess that's a networking thing in itself, is just supporting local. So
Yeah.
like the candy shop across the street, his candy might be a little bit more money than the gas station candy for about the same thing, but I know where my money's going there. The butcher shop around the corner is definitely a little bit more money than the Hy-Vee up the road or the grocery store up the road, but I know where my money's going. And like the butcher shop, she's used me to do balloons twice now for her 1 year anniversary or 2 year anniversary. So you never know when those are going to convert back into a sale.
Right. Well, and if you think of your ideal customer, our balloons are more expensive than the grocery store as well. So someone who's already willing and able to spend a little bit more on a local butcher shop is probably
Yeah.
the same person who's willing and able to spend a bit more on balloons. So if you're tapping into their customers by doing something nice, like celebrating them, you're probably attracting better clientele in doing so.
I did not even think of it that way, but yeah, that's a good that's the reason why you support locals, because yeah, what we're selling definitely you can go to Party City and get for way cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want to be Party City prices. Like I can't, and I won't do it. So if that's what you want, then go there and get them, and here's the address. But for
Yeah.
me, it's like I know what I'm selling is a luxury. Either you want it or you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I totally agree. And the longer I do it, the more comfortable I've gotten with that. It was really hard at the beginning, but now I know there's people that are willing to pay for the quality and the convenience.
Yeah, that's me. It's like helium. You can go to Party City and get a helium bouquet for considerably less, but I'm gonna bring it to like how'd you get that to your house in your in your car. It was windy and all that, and like I take care of all that for you.
Right. And like, how was that experience waiting in line and ordering from a 14-year-old kid who hates their life and doesn't want to be working? I only say that because that was my first job. I worked at Party City and it was the worst and I was terrible at it. All right, you're going to share your story. You told me I was laughing
Oh
before we
yes.
started. Tell us about your networking experience at Balloon University.
Okay, yeah, so back to where I said, just you never knew who you're talking to when it might convert into a sale or an avenue that you might want to go. I don't know. At Blue University, just full of it was a down in Georgia, great event. All the big guns are there. We sign up for an event or a class, and if you don't get there early, you're not sitting in the front row. I got there a little late. I was sitting in the back row, um, kind of bummed, not, and then there's this guy sitting next to me, look, suit and tie, just a guy. And I still kind of bummed. I want to be in the front row, hanging out with all of them, talking. And I get up, I kind of like walk around a little bit, and then I just go sit back down. And this guy just still sitting there. And we take the class, learn how to build awesome stuff, and then at the end of the class, the instructor was like, "Oh, I just want to say thank you to this pioneer that's here, the pioneer of the industry. He's done this and this and this. He basically invented this." And he's like, "Oh, Treb Henning, he's sitting there in the back."
It's like
And I'm
he like
like,
invented our industry.
yeah, and I felt at that point I just felt so dumb. I was like, this guy is sitting right next to me. The whole like during like when the class was starting, like I didn't say hi. Like I might have said hi, but I didn't like strike up a conversation just because I was so bummed that I wasn't up front with somebody with them. And this guy was sitting right next to me. I could have talked to him for hours probably.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a wealth of knowledge, and I totally blew that. Like, you know, and then at that point, it was everybody was like, "Oh, like let's go talk to him." And so at that point, it was too late for me.
Yeah. Well, but you learned your lesson. You never know who you're sitting next to. You
Yep,
never know. Yeah, you never know.
you don't judge that book by the cover. And I'm
I
not saying
know.
he's a bad looking guy.
No,
It
well,
just
you said he was, I mean, because he's always a little bit dressed up. So suit and tie, you figured he worked for the hotel or something.
yeah, just like I just thought he was a worker, and and don't get stuck in that role either. Like when you're at a hotel setting up for an event, make sure you talk to those people. Make sure you talk to the guy that's changing the trash can.
Yeah, same thing. You know what? Same thing at businesses. The people changing the trash and like wiping down the bar and picking up, half the time they're the owners. Like the only people that want to work that hard, half the time, it's the person in charge or like the one, like you said, in shorts and flip flops. They look like that because they can, because they're allowed to. So a lot of times it's these really unsuspecting people that know everything or own everything or are important and you just had no idea.
Yep, that brings up a very good. Just struck one with me. I was at an event, setting up, talking to the coordinator, and I'm like, this guy, he's just bringing in chairs and stuff. It was a big. It's this venue is like one of our nicest venues in Ankeny, and I talked like this guy bringing in chairs. I'm like, hi, how's it going? Like, I love this space, blah blah blah, this is awesome. And he's like, oh, thank you, that's great. And then he walks off, and like I was talking to the coordinator guy, that my contact, and he's like, I'm like, who's that guy? And he's like, oh, he's the owner, he owns this place. It's Toast, it's called Toast. And I'm like, holy buckets. And the guy that owns it, he owns Ankeny. Like they're the richest people in Ankeny.
Yeah.
And shorts he was wearing, I think it was in the winter, so like running pants, a shirt, and a stocking cap. Didn't look like, he wasn't dressed up. He didn't, but it was like, that's a luckily I said good things about the space. So
Right. Yeah. Like you always have to be on. Like I think that goes way back to like first job interview. It's like the interview literally starts when you pull into the parking lot. Like don't assume that just because you're done talking to the important person that you can just all of a sudden cut loose and start dishing with the secretary, because that's actually probably the person who has their ear and is going to make the decision in the end.
if talking to that guy could have been like, oh, this place kind of it it sucks having to walk up all these stairs and this and that, and
Right,
that,
right.
like just start talking bad. And it was like, luckily I kept a good face on. And yeah, not luckily, like I'm a good person, I try to be. It's just you never know who you're talking to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. I want to take a little break and introduce a brand new segment. Do you mind answering a question that we have from a listener?
Sure, let's do it.
Welcome to the UGlu Hotline, where we discuss great advice that sticks. Brought to you by Pro Tapes. If you have a question or some great advice to share, click the link in the show notes to call in and leave a voicemail.
Hello, my name is Angela Campbell. I am calling from, I live close to Greensboro, North Carolina, but I'm based in Thomasville, North Carolina. I have a balloon business called Party Decor, and I have been listening to your podcast, which has been absolutely wonderful. And I have had numerous people ask about the marquee numbers. And I had noticed you said that you had purchased yours, which I thought would be great because it would save me and give me more money. So I wanted to know where did you buy your marquee numbers? So just wanted some tips on those numbers. I think it would be a great for us. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Hey, Angela. Yeah, I just purchased 2 sets of the 2023 letters just for graduation season, because I know I could book. The reason I purchased 2 sets was because I know that I'll have multiple events wanting them. and two, they look great, they sell easy, and I think they're good investment.
I got a set too. I'm going to cut in two because I also bought mine kind of at the same time.
Yep.
Because I think a lot of people want those alpha lit marquees, but sometimes
Yep.
I found that I was kind of becoming the middleman, and sometimes bookings would stall out. So I also bought mine just from a local vendor. I had them make them, but I also just bought the numbers. I'm curious, have you found them to be worth it so far, Travis?
Yeah, for sure. Financially, yes, and just for like the peace of mind where you can go set up, and I don't have to coordinate with another vendor. I can show up when I want and set the numbers up, and then my balloons on top of them. Whereas I used to have to be like, what time is this person showing up to set the letters up, and then I'll show up. So I'm kind of at their will at that point, where I can now make my own schedule.
Yeah. Yeah, I have found them to be worth it in terms of finances. Like, they have paid themselves off. I got a set of 0 through 9, so I can do numbers. For me, the biggest downside is the storage. Like, they take up a lot of room, but like you said, it has streamlined the actual installation process. Again, I only
Yep.
have numbers. I couldn't imagine managing the letters, especially because I feel like I would misspell everything. So I think, yes, it was a good investment, with the
Yep.
caveat that my Alpha Lit company is like over an hour away. So I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of other people that have a very good relationship with their local marquee person. And if that's the case, you might be better off just having them do the dirty work and the investment, and you add the balloons.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Angela, I know you're calling from North Carolina. I use someone local. It's not going to be cost effective for you to order from someone and have them shipped. I would look for someone local who builds things.
Yes, there's definitely somebody out there, because I was in the same boat. Is I found a person, they were, states and states away, and then I looked a little harder and I found a person locally that made them for me. They look great. Um that being said, is, yeah, with the, like, my local person, they're 2 hours away, so it's hard to get them here, sometimes coordinating the time. And I think you talked about it on a couple episodes ago, is when a person reaches out, they want letters, you're like, no, I don't have letters, go to Alphalit or whoever, and then you send them on their way, and then you look on that person's page and they've got Alphalit letters with somebody else's balloons on it.
Yeah,
So you just lost the sale.
absolutely.
Because, so I like to, it's kind of me being a little controlling. I like to control my sale, and I don't like being the middleman. So that's why I want to bring everything under one roof.
No,
Do
I
it.
totally agree. There are certain things where it's controlling, and then or it could be smart business. Like, I think control is one thing, but watching sales that you're bringing in go to someone else, that's where I started to be like, And then the other thing that was happening for me is that people wanted like one number. They wanted to celebrate like a first birthday. And the rental and delivery of one digit from over an hour away was like $200. It was just like, okay, well, I could do this locally and pay for it on the first booking. It was just, it wasn't making sense. And I can't speak for AlphaLit. I still have a good relationship with them, but like, I can't imagine that they were crazy doing a 2-hour round trip delivery to make $75 on a rental, right? Like, they want those big installs. So I think you do have to be considerate, or at least run your options. Obviously it's a big investment. They are not cheap. But I think the best way to do it is to find a local manufacturer. I haven't found anyone online that ships at a reasonable rate. And then my one last little tip of advice is, I know some balloon people that do marquee installs on AlphaLit or like another company, and they're doing, several $1,000s of installs every weekend with the same company. So if that's you, I would discourage you from getting your own marquees, because yes, you'll make money, I guess, in a more direct way, but you also have to be responsible for that inventory and the storage. So if you're making a ton of money just doing balloons, I would say stick with that. For me,
Mhm.
I was seeing jobs slip away, and I wanted to be able to accommodate those 1 or 2 digit requests. So that's why I went for the numbers, but there are people that are making way more money just adding balloons to Alpha Lit if it's really popular in
Mhm.
your area.
Yeah, if you have a good relationship with the person and with the owner of Alphalet or whatever, it's that's a lot easier just saying, show up this time and you don't have to go back at all.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
It's a
Well,
big
cool.
investment up front, so yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, I thought you'd be a good person for this call because first of all, it's our first one, so I'm excited to have more of these. But second of all, I know that you and I were kind of on the same timeline of when we made that big purchase.
Yeah,
Well, cool. All right. Well, let's wrap this up and then finish up our interview here.
perfect.
Pro Tapes is a leading manufacturer of specialty tape products like Pro Gaff, Pro Artist Tape, and our favorite balloon tape, UGlu, which helps you create amazing balloon arrangements and decorations in less time. You can save 5% on UGlu when you buy directly from Havin A Party using the code BRIGHT at checkout. And to help promote our brand new UGlu hotline, I am giving the first 10 callers any free download of their choice from the Bright Balloon shop. That includes all templates, courses, or resources. So click the link in the show notes to call in and leave your question for the UGlu hotline. All right, so let's wrap it up, Travis. What are 3 things, if you had to sum up this whole conversation, what should we keep in mind about networking, or what should we do next?
Well, the big thing is like, yeah, you just never know who you're talking to when you're meeting them. So just when you see people, just think of them as somebody and just make sure you're presenting you the best way possible, you and your business. That makes
Absolutely.
sense.
And if someone is listening who's not a member of any networking groups at all, what could they
Yes.
do today to get started?
I would go on like your local chamber website. Usually it's the name of your city and then just type like Google like Ankeny Chamber, and then you'll get on their website, look into their membership. It might be, it's a investment up front, a little, $400 or $500, but it'll pay off. It'll pay for itself, I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
And then just look for if there's any other local. Once you're in the chamber, you'll probably talk to other local businesses that there might be one of those, like the group that I'm in called PAR, where it's like it's all guys, all local business owners. You want to be in something like that too.
Yeah, and for me, ours is called like Ladies of the Lake, and it's a female networking group.
Yep, that's those like you got to pay, but it's when you invest in something, you get more out of it.
Totally agree. And that's, I think, a really good third point, an action step, which I'm going to take the words out of your mouth, which was find your network for balloon people too.
Yep. Well, so yeah, I don't think we even talked about it, but just invest in your business and going to like conventions and such. Conventions are huge. So, look for the, float, Balloon University, the big balloon build. If you can get into one of those, like you're going to meet the coolest people at those things.
Yeah, who can help you out. And that is like the most internal network of people who can help you do what you do even better.
Yep. Once you meet them, they'll take care of you.
Very cool. Well, Travis, it has been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your
Yes,
knowledge.
it's been great.
And yeah, congrats on all of your success. I think you've come quite a way in the first few years of balloon business ownership, and many more to come.
Perfect. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. Our presenting sponsor is 17 Hats, the CRM I use to cut the chaos and manage my entire balloon business. From the lead capture form on my website to workflows and email templates, invoicing and grab-and-go garland automated bookings, it's all powered by 17 Hats, the best customer relationship management system for balloon businesses. There's even a 50% off coupon code waiting for you in the show notes wherever you're listening. I'll see you next week in another episode.